Hey guys, welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Well, it's still the morning. Yeah, 11 o'clock. I'm going to be reacting to a video requested by Mitch7235. It's called How to Make Them Better, Tau Empire Warhammer 40,000, made on the Heretical Hatter YouTube channel. That's a concerning name. Heretical Hatter. Yeah. And he's talking about the Tau and making them better. Aren't they already technologically advanced? Aren't they already the good guys? Why do you want to make them better? Whose side are you on? Are you on the humanity's side or are you on the Xeno side? But anyways, I'm digressing. Let's start with the video. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as Heretical Hatter's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
The Tau, the naive weeaboo space communist of the grim dark future of Warhammer 40k.
This poster is actually quite nice for the greater good. Yeah, it is actually quite nice. But it's a Xeno race, so no.
They have a small empire, barely a nuisance to other factions really. Their looks and theme doesn't really match the rest of the universe. And they use mecha. They are, quote-unquote, the good guys in the universe where there are none.
Man, even the good guys are not good guys. They are bad, just as bad, maybe not as overtly evil or uncaring like all the other empires, but they have their moments. This greater good, wara nonsense is just a smokescreen. I don't trust it one bit.
Those are main problems in terms of the lore. In terms of gameplay on the tabletop, they are ass to play against, because it's just a bloody firing line. Just a line of dudes with those pulse rifles and those bloody crisis battlesuits, and God Emperor protect us all from the bloody triptides and this rail cannon. In terms of books and stories, the Tau have Phil Kelly, who he isn't absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I've been told that I should delve deeper into this particular character, this Farsight commander belonging to the Tau. Yeah, there's still some videos I have to go through in terms of, Warhammer 40k content. So yeah, hopefully I will get to Commander Farsight pretty soon. Hopefully, yeah.
He isn't Ian Watson or Matt Ward, nor C.C. Goto, thank the heavens, but he isn't really that much of a good writer either. His stories are mid.
Okay, Heretical Hatter.
At best.
I accepted the book and gave it a 5 out of 10. It was okay review.
All of that is a problem. And I accept the criticism of the Tau Empire. I agree with all of my heart. But I am also a creator, and I decided that I can write better Tau lore than Games Workshop.
Go right ahead, Heretical Hatter.
And so I went ahead with my Tau Empire Reimagined project, where I transformed the naive Tau Empire into young yet mighty Tauva Coalition.
Tauva Coalition. Interesting. But a name doesn't change the attitudes or the cultures and tradition of the Tau people. Because they still have the ethereals on top. Unless, of course, you're going to change that as well. Okay. Coalition.
But this series has 19 episodes, and it's well over 22 hours of content. So, this video is for all those who don't want to go through the entire series and want to see what I came up with in a nutshell.
I might get into it. I'm not gonna tell you when because I still have other content to go through, but you know, it should there be space, I might also add this as a as a project that I need to react to. Yeah.
So now it's my role to compress this 22-hour project into a single video. May the gods have mercy on my soul and my vocal cords. So, my dear listener, my name is Heretical Hatter, and this is how to make Tau better. Now, what is the main theme of the Tau Empire in canonical 40k? Tau Empire is new rising power in the galaxy. They are young by galactic standards, and they have only begun their expansion into the greater galaxy. They have rather advanced technology, which is continuously developed, and are in many ways painfully naive. They look like rather standard sci-fi faction, and they have mechs. They have also a theme of being this homogeneous group under influence of ethereals, and
Why this image? Is that a Quarian from Mass Effect? Okay, interesting.
the ideology of the greater good. They are utilitarian, collectivists, caste-based society. Despite what memes claim, they aren't communists.
Yeah, I don't understand this notion of them being communists. I think some people don't know or they haven't researched enough what communism is. You know, in terms of communism, the ideal or the political system requires the elimination of a classist society. The Tau are classists. They have the different sects of their society. The means of production need to be in control of the people. That's communism right there. The Tau don't do that. The Tau don't, allow the means of production to be held by the people. It's held by the ethereals. They are the overarching authority on the Tau Empire. Anything that they say goes. So they are not communists, not to the slightest, not to the bit. Like, yes, they can be, they can seem like they're good people. Their society might seem like it's equal and it's fair to all xeno races that are under the Tau Empire. But no, they are not communists, not one bit. That part I don't understand. How is it connected to the Tau? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's some people who just think of the idea as communism as bad, and they want to attribute that with the Tau in some sort of way. I'm not truly understanding, but they don't connect. That's what I'm just trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at. It just doesn't connect.
Caste system is basically a total opposite of a communism.
Exactly. Thank you.
But because people have no idea what collectivists means, they just say communist, because once in school they heard about collectivization in the Soviet Union. I said it before, and I will say it again. If Karl Marx returned to the living, and you would show him the Tau and call them communist, he would punch you so hard in the face that your asshole would have teeth.
And with those fists, those hands, I can believe you. Heretical Hatter, I can believe you. Really, I can. Those fists look like they've been in battle. Those hands, yeah.
And some of you might think that Karl Marx doesn't look that strong. that you can take that punch and fight back. But you see, when Karl Marx punches you, he is using the strength of the proletariat, all the bitterness, rage and hopelessness of every abused worker in Amazon warehouse or shoe factory or another mega corporation that sucks the joy of life out of people. All of this is transformed into physical force.
Nice. Nice.
The fact that Marx is punching you only so hard that your asshole has teeth is a kindness. For if he used all of his power, he would erase you out of existence as well as 12 generations of your predecessors and successors. Yes, his punch would take you forward in time so you could see the lives of future generations of your bloodline being erased because of your stupid actions. Then he would pull you back in time so you could see the same thing happening to your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on and so on. Then he would pull you along your entire life, erasing everything and anything that brought you even a shred of happiness. The first kiss, first time you hug a puppy, the first time you tasted your grandmother cooking.
I think this is a bit excessive now. One punch was fine. Let the teeth come out of the ass, it's fine. But now we're going into time and punching people who have no responsibility to what this person has said. No, I'm sorry. That's going a bit too far.
All of that turned into ash. And at the end, when you are kneeling, weeping and begging for forgiveness, only then he would erase you out of existence. Not even void would await you. He would disappear completely. No trace, no memory. Not one would weep at your demise, for none would remember you ever existed. This.
No, if he did that, then he's taking more than honor demands. Yeah, that, like I said, it's a bit too excessive.
This is the power of a proletariat. So do think again before calling Tao communist. So, about those blue weeboos. The Tao are, in general, more optimistic and good compared to other factions of the 40k.
Optimistic. Good. Oh my gosh. Humanity were like that once in our lifetime. We were like that too. We were good. We were optimistic, about the future and us mastering technology and understanding knowledge and being one with our machines to heights and levels that no other race has been to. Maybe the Eldar or the Necron, yes, of course. But we were up there too. I just see the same situation befalling the Tau Empire. Where yes, they have reached these heights of innovation and technology and understanding, but then the greater galaxy or the larger scale of things, the larger importance of things, in terms of the warp, the chaos gods, and even the other factions, somehow, some way, the Tau Empire is going to go through a very destructive, cataclysmic event that will shake their society to its core, just like humanity. I see them as a mirror image of humanity during the golden age of technology. How we were also highly advanced, and then we were brought to our knees, and we were in that position for many thousands of years. And I see something similar happening with the Tau. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will, be better than us. But yeah, their ignorance will be their undoing.
They aren't really grimdark, for which many people hate them. At least those who snort grimdark like coke and can't remember that Warhammer 40k was originally a parody. Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau was a thing, everyone. Do you remember Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau? I do. How could I forget this magnificent outfit? The physique, the beard, that charming smile. It almost makes you wonder how he would look No.
Heretical Hatter, I'm not surprised you're talking like this, because you are heretical, so it's okay, it's fine. I'm sanctioned by the Imperium of Man to listen to this, video, so don't worry. Say what you want to say.
Calm down. Calm down. That goes both for me and all those people who take 40k too seriously. Now, the question is, what changes I implemented to make Tauva Coalition better than Tau Empire? The answer is a few. Okay, I get that some of you are confused. Let me explain. In my not so humble opinion, the main theme of the Tau Empire isn't bad for Warhammer 40k. Games Workshop is just complete ass with how this theme was presented. My main idea isn't, oh, Tau are the good guys. No. My idea is, Coalition is flickering light in the sea of darkness. And this has incredible value for 40k universe. And I will tell you why. The brighter the light, the deeper the darkness. The Tau, the Coalition, the greater good, their role in 40k shouldn't be focused around idea of how good the Tau are, but the contrast with horror of the greater galaxy. Coalition's role is to show everyone that things can be better, but because of fanaticism, of pride, or very nature of any given faction, this won't happen.
Well, basically, it will be an ideological battle between the different political systems and the religions and societies that live in the galaxy. Not necessarily focusing on the military aspects or the technological aspects of these different empires, like for instance the Imperium of Man and the Tau, or the coalition, the Tauva coalition. It won't necessarily be about them fighting. It will just be about, which ideal or which type of idea would stand the test of time for the next 10,000 years. And this greater good, or this coalition of different species, under this Tauva, does sound like a good idea. It does seem like a beacon light in the darkness. And yes, it has its own shadows to deal with. However, I think the Imperium of Man is still going to make it. Because humans have been already conditioned, to live in this galaxy, to strive in this galaxy in the most difficult and most horrific ways possible. And this society is not easily broken by sweet words and by promises of milk and honey. Because that's what the ideal of the Tauva coalition or the Tau Empire is trying to give, to humanity that is in their close proximity. Telling them that we will give you a better future. You will live under better living standards and conditions compared to your suffering and your toiling lives in the Imperium of Man. And yes, that might work with some planets, that might work with some governors, that might work with some important people, but the majority of the galaxy, I don't think so. The belief in the God Emperor, the institutional structure of the ecclesiarchy and all other government apparatus within the Imperium of Man is just too rigid, too strong, too dogmatic to be shaken by a xeno race. Especially by a xeno race. If it was another human empire, maybe something would have been possible, but because there are xeno races within this coalition or within this Tau empire, it's just not going to work. And this ideal is going to be contained in in that area or that space where the Tau control, and it's not going to be able to expand any further. That's what I think. I think that because humanity have gone through so much in these past 10,000 years, yes, it's a sickly old man, the Imperium of Man, but the people, the society, within these trillions upon trillions of human beings across millions of planets across the galaxy, they are still very much united in their belief in the God Emperor of mankind, in their belief in Primarch Robute Gilliman, in their belief in the Astartes and all these other institutions of the Imperium of Man. So dislodging that with a different type of ideal being brought by the Tau is just not going to work. They're just going to be contained in their little area of influence. That's what I think.
What is more grimdark than being only hopeful place in the galaxy consumed by misery? The second thing is that this light, this hope, is in some ways a mask, hiding more than few dark pieces of the coalition at large. Someone's utopia can be someone else's dystopia, showing that in some ways coalition doesn't really matches their own ideas, that the darkness of 40k galaxy corrupts everything. But this darkness is subtle. The coalition doesn't hold the darkness as the banner, it hides it, it is ashamed of it, because it is the opposite of their own ideas. How grimdark is that?
It's very grimdark, especially when you consider Chaos Gods will try to exploit that. I can see Slanesh exploiting this type of weakness in this coalition. I can see many of the other Chaos Gods and their servants trying to dislodge and use this shame that the coalition has, in terms of the darkness within inside them. Yes, they show this brilliant light on the outside and showing people what is possible as they being part of the coalition. But what goes on inside the empire, or what goes on inside the coalition, that is being hidden, that is being swept under the carpet. And I see factions from Chaos exploiting that. So that's what they did with the Imperium of Man. When the Great Crusade was happening throughout the galaxy, the Emperor wanted to make humanity become this species of knowledge and understanding and brilliance, and all of us being united under the flag of the Imperium of Man, under his leadership as the Emperor of mankind. However, the Emperor himself, he just did not understand us. The Emperor overlooked many societal situations that were happening on different types of planets throughout the galaxy, because he's in a rush to unite the galaxy under his banner. There were many situations, especially from the planets where the Primarchs came from. Those were prime examples of the type of situations that the Imperium of Man just did not deal with. They swept it under the rug, hoping that it would just go away over time. And it didn't. It just festered, it just grew, and the Chaos Gods took advantage of that. Horus Lupercal took advantage of that when he decided that he was going to go against his father and, begin the Horus Heresy. Many of the planets that were conquered by the Imperium of Man also turned cold, because they did not want to be part of this Imperium of Man, but they were forced down the barrel of a gun. These types of societal issues and governmental issues that were swept under the rug, all in the name of the Imperium of Man, and it bit them in the ass. And I see something similar happening here with the coalition or the Tau, where they are also sweeping very serious issues under the rug, all in the name of saving face and presenting this brilliant ideal, brilliant society that is the answer to the darkness of the Imperium of Man, or the darkness of the rest of the galaxy. And the Chaos Gods will exploit that as well.
See the slow corruption and degradation of the idea of peace, unity and prosperity. To see how that shining banner of hope gets more and more dirty as darkness seeps into the light. The coalition could show everyone that xenophobia of the Emperor was misguided, that there was a way for different species to live alongside each other, that the Imperium slaughtered an uncounted number of species without any other reason than xenophobia of one man. How many species were erased because of humanity, for none other reason but misguided vision of reality of an immortal man that didn't understood the species he sought to protect. The coalition shows that technology can move forward, which shows how deep and mad the stagnation of humanity really is. That this stagnation and obsession with ancient technology is a choice. The coalition shows that worlds can be exploited without eradication of entire biosphere, showing that forge worlds and hive worlds are just another expression of human madness in 40k, and so on, and so on, and so on. The light of the coalition is there to show how deep is the darkness of humanity. The coalition's role is to empathize how far the humanity have fallen, how different and how twisted they are compared to humanity today, to the point that if someone outside of a fandom was asked in which faction they would like to live as a human, they wouldn't choose Imperium of Man, but Tauva Coalition. Coalition.
That's a bold, that's a bold thing to say. I understand. On face value, like I've stated before, on face value, the ideals of the Tauva Coalition or the Tau Empire might seem very good, very nice, but once you get into the crux of it, you realize that, you being human and being free is just an illusion in this empire. At least in the Imperium of Man, you will know what you are on the get-go. On the first day, you will realize what you are. You see how far you are, valued in that society. They tell you the truth. It's blunt. It's in your face. If you're going to become a servitor, you're going to become a servitor. If you're going to become an Imperial Guardsman, you're going to become an Imperial Guardsman. If you're just going to be a worker in the hive worlds, you're going to become a worker. There's no dreams. There's no fallacy here. This is what it is. This is how we're existing in this galaxy now. Now, if you live with the Tau, you're going to live in a dreamland. And maybe that's preferable for some people, to exist and enjoy their lives in that slice of heaven or peace in their lives, for as long as they live in this Tau society. But for me, I don't want to live in such a society. because that freedom is an illusion. That freedom is only given to me until it is taken away. At least with the Imperium of Man, I know where I stand, and I can navigate through that somehow before I'm turned into a servitor, somehow before, I'm just killed on an alleyway going home from my work in the Hive City. I will try to navigate through that society. That is reality. What the Tau are giving you are just dreams. And I don't want to live in that type of life. It's like choosing between the Matrix and the real world, where everybody is living underground in the city of Zion, while the Matrix is being used to power the machines on the surface. I would rather choose the real world than to live in this place.
Is new superpower to be, and they are on their way to replace Imperium of Man as dominant force in the galaxy.
Yet again, I must state that that's a very bold statement to say. A very bold statement. Because I can assure you, humanity are no pushovers. We're not just going to die out. Because like I stated before, the ideal or the politics of the Imperium of Man is very rigid, very dogmatic. It will last, it will outlast anything that the Tau could ever make, because humans believe in the God Emperor of mankind. We are transfixed on that. Yes, there will be those who are deviants, those who decide to worship chaos, or those who decide they want to join the Tau, but the numbers are insignificant compared to the larger, grander galaxy. They are nothing. If you cannot convince the majority of the galaxy that the Tau, society and ideals are better than what they're currently having in the Imperium of Man, if you cannot convince those people, the majority, then there is no way that this empire is ever going to replace the Imperium of Man. There's no way that this empire is ever going to be able to grow larger than it is right now. That I can assure you.
First were the Old Ones, then the Necrons, then Eldari, then Human Federation from Dark Age of Technology, then Imperium of Man. And now it's time for Coalition to take the dominant position within the Milky Way galaxy.
When you say it like that, I don't know how many Old Ones existed, but I don't think there were in the trillions upon sextillions of human beings that exist right now in the 41st or 42nd millennium of the Milky Way galaxy. There are so many human beings. Our population is overwhelming. There's no way we're going to die out. As a species, we're not going to die out. As a society or as a Imperium of Man ideal, we're also not going to die out anytime soon. So that notion to say that after the Old Ones came the Necrons and the Eldar and then the Human Federation and then came the Imperium of Man, we're still going to be here. We're still going to be here. We are going to be here. We're going to outlive the Tauva coalition or the Tau Empire, because there's just too many of us. And there's too many of us who believe in the same ideology, in the same religion. And it's not going to end.
And some of you might wonder, how is that grimdark? I will tell you. This change shows one thing: humanity has failed. The Emperor's dream is no more. It's a rotten corpse, just like the Imperium and the Emperor himself. Humanity failed their mission to be true rulers of the galaxy. We had our chance, and we wasted it. Hell, we had 2 chances. First during the Dark Age of Technology, and the second with the Emperor. We got more chances than most, and we wasted them both. The Human Federation from Dark Age of Technology. The time when our technological progress gave us power to rival creations of the old ones themselves. If we were wiser, we could have reached level of the old ones and Necrons both. The cybernetic revolt and our hubris of being reliant on the Men of Iron brought end to that age of prosperity. The Emperor in many ways attempted to bring back the glory of united humanity from that bygone era, trying to rekindle the light of human progress, avoiding the mistakes of the past. And he failed. Not even Return of the Primarchs can save what is left.
I wouldn't count the Primarchs out just yet.
The Imperium and humanity are doomed.
Who decided that? Who decided that? Who is saying that we cannot rise again for the 3rd time? For the 4th time? For the 5th time? Who is saying that we cannot rise from this stagnant society or empire that we live in? Humans are very adaptable creatures. We're not initially fatalistic. We always try our best to get out of a situation, find a solution, and adapt. That's what we're good at. And that's why we haven't died out, or we are not dying out like the Elder. We are not stuck in our past like the Necron. Yes, we are stagnant, but we are not stuck in the past. Hopefully you can understand what I'm trying to say there. Like the Necron tier. They are stuck in their past. They want their glorious empire to return where they rule the galaxy. And it's just not going to happen the same way. Not anymore. They had their chance. They missed the bus. And we're not going to die out like the old ones. There's just too many of us. So, who decided that we are going to end with the Imperium of Man? Nope. There's going to be a version 2 of the Imperium of Man led by Roberta Gilliman and Lionel Johnson. There'll be a version 3 of the Imperium of Man long after Roberta Gilliman or Lionel Johnson have turned to dust. And they're immortal, so it will take time. But long after they've turned to dust, there'll be a version 3 of the Imperium of Man. It's going to continue. That's what I think.
Coalition once again takes role of contrast. There is someone else, someone better than us, who's taking our place. Coalition is just another proof that age of humanity is coming to an end. The end times are coming. The end of the Imperium is nigh. And
if the end of the Imperium does actually happen, we are taking you down with us. We are taking you down with us. We're not going alone. This whole galaxy is going to burn. If we cannot save it, then let the galaxy burn.
The galaxy will move on, barely noticing our absence. Whatever is left, even if it started as a human, will evolve into something else, something new. That's the grim dark truth that so many people don't want to accept.
Yeah, I will not accept that. This is a human-dominated galaxy, and it will continue to be one. forever.
We have failed. The Tau, the Coalition, the greater good, they won't be responsible for our doom. We did that to ourselves.
I can agree with that.
They weren't even present when we landed mortal blows upon all of our hopes for the future. This bizarre alliance of Xenos, they are merely the heralds of our last hour. The first light of a new dawn to humanity's dusk. We lived in darkness for millennia, and everything we ever were will be consumed by this darkness. When the new light will shine on this galaxy, what is left of the Imperium and humanity will hide in the shadows. Remnants of a bygone age. The age of a dark Imperium. So, that...
Dark Imperium. Doesn't that already exist? With Imperium Nihilus? But okay.
That's my main idea regarding the core change with the theme. But there are others. One of the most important ones is the change of the name of a faction. Something that is not without a reason. If you think about it, basically every single faction in 40k is an ethnic empire. Imperium of Man have mankind. Mechanicus have cowboys. Sororitas have women.
You know what? Let me just wait. Let me just wait and hear the rest of your sentence.
I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Seriously, think about it. Basically, every empire in 40k Galaxy was an ethnic empire. Imperium of Man unites all of humanity. The Elder Empire had all of space elves. The Necron Empire is full of Necrons. Orc empires are full of orcs. Tyranids are one singular organism. The Tau Empire was described as a commonwealth of numerous species, and yet 95% of lore and miniatures are the Tau themselves.
That's true. Like, we don't see much or hear much from the other races that are part of the Tau Empire. You know, we just mainly see the Tau. You know, the ones with the nose line thingy and, you know, blue skin and hooves for feet. Yeah.
A bit of Groot and even less of Vespet. Despite attempting to make them look like Far Eastern themed Commonwealth, Games Workshop made Tau into a bloody British Empire, one that uses auxiliaries as meat shields. So I've made some changes. Now the Tau Empire, or rather the United Authority, as it is known in my rewrite,
United Authority.
is merely a part of the greater coalition. The founder and the leader of a coalition, sure, but still just a member. And there are many more members that add to coalition's strength. Tau don't have monopoly on that. Coalition is a faction that is united, not by species, but ideology.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of the Federation from Star Trek. You know, they're not united by species, really. They're united by the ideals of the Federation. Cooperation, unity, economic prosperity, and exploration of space. Yeah, they kind of remind me of the Federation this way. Star Trek Federation, yeah.
The coalition that has dozens of members, all with different interests, looks, doctrine, and way of doing things. Some have their own small empires that count dozens of worlds. It's not one species, one world thing. You know what that means? Diversity. Other species not only have presence, but also important role, not only on the battlefield, but in research, industry, navigation, politics, diplomacy, and more. Those other species are essential for the coalition.
Essentially, every species within this coalition has an equal representation, equal, power, equal state, statelyhood within the coalition. There is no empire or any kingdom, or should I say country, that is above the other. Okay, that's nice. That's nice of the coalition. I wonder about the ethereals, if they still exist in this rewrite of the Tau, whether they are willing to humble themselves to this new reality, that they are not on top, that this is not the Tau Empire, this is the Tauva coalition, and the ethereals don't really have the type of power they would have in the Tau Empire. Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how are the ethereals different in this rewrite of the Tauva coalition? Yeah.
A lot of technology that coalition possess wasn't created by the Tau. The best example of that is coalition FTL drive, the skip drive. It was created by Nikasar, the floating psychic polar bears.
Abominations. Abominations. They need to be killed. They can be possessed by the chaos gods. Nah.
Sure, Tau Earthcast were important in perfecting and advancing this technology, but they didn't create it. And same goes for myriad of species of the coalition. Tau have talent with combining and utilizing their own individual talents for the greater good of the coalition. This diversity is the greatest strength of the coalition. Additionally, now coalition can have proper political intrigue. The top of the Tau Empire intrigue was Ethereals or Watercast fucking someone over. Now things are different. There are many factions, not necessarily split by species, but by interest. We can have intrigue similar to that of Imperium of Man, as different factions compete for influence within the coalition. Coalition is a living, breathing organization. A significant change. In canonical 40k, in the Tau Empire, Ethereals controlled everything. They were in fact dictators of the Tau Empire, authoritarian to the point it was laughable. In the Tau Empire, Ethereal's word is law. Ethereal Council decided about basically everything. Do you know what Ethereal Council in effect was? They were High Lords of Terra of the Tau Empire.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, that's true.
You could just call them High Lords of Tau, because Tau is both the name of the species and their homeworld. I see this as extremely lazy and stupid. Something that doesn't fit the image of the Tau or the ideology of the greater good one bit. So
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. In terms of the greater good, remember that is just a political rhetoric. It's just a word to push a narrative about the Tau Empire being better, being more united, than the Imperium of Man or any other xeno-race throughout the galaxy. You know, whether the Tau Empire is being led by the Ethereals, or it's being led by a president, or it's being led by a, you know, another version of a high council, or being led by a monarchy, it doesn't really matter much, you know. And how that government is structured, how is it being administered throughout the entire empire. You know, it could be an authoritarian state, it can be a democratic state, it can be a socialist state. It doesn't really matter. You know, if the people believe in this greater good, then it is for the greater good. We can say whatever we want to say, you know, in terms of how they governed their society. But if the people within that society believe that it is the greater good, then it is the greater good. You will have to convince them otherwise. So, you know, yes, the Ethereals are leading the Tau Empire. They are the mantles of responsibility in terms of the greater good. The political ideology of the greater good belongs to them. They maintain it. They make it grow. You can say you don't like the Ethereals, or they look stupid, or the organization is stupid, or, you know, their existence within the Tau Empire is contradictory to the greater good, but, you know, that's you saying it. The people within this empire believe that it is correct. You have to try and convince them. Yeah.
So, in my rewrite, we have something known as High Coalition Council. And Ethereals are members and leaders of a council, sure, but their word isn't a law in the coalition. Ethereals and Ethereal Supreme have significant influence, but they aren't supreme power in the coalition.
I don't understand. They have power within this coalition. How far does that power extend? The council, is it this, the High Coalition Council, is it a part of legislature, or is it the cabinet, you know, the national government of the Tauva coalition? You know, what is the structure here? Is the council the legislative body or arm of the state, or is it both the legislative and the executive, powers of the state? And in this council, in terms of the Ethereals, how far does their power extend in influencing the other council members? And within this council, is there a smaller council that has the, you know, ultimate authority or decision making on various issues? And how are they led? Are they led by a majority, type of situation where the majority of the council members that are voting on a particular thing or a particular situation, it passes through because the majority have won in the council? Or is there, or should I say the Ethereals, do they have veto powers to say that no, we're not going to agree to this because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 reasons why? I'm just trying to understand, you know, the type of power they have in this council, the Ethereals. Because when you say that they have power, but they don't have ultimate power within this council, it's still a bit vague for me. I want it in detail. Or maybe I should watch the other videos. Maybe I'll understand further after watching the other videos pertaining to, making or rewriting the Tau Empire. Yeah.
They don't have magical mind-controlling pheromones. They might have power of suggestion, but not full mind control. I see idea of mind-controlling pheromones as lazy.
Why is it lazy? Why is it lazy? Why is it lazy? I mean, this is how the Ethereals were able to control the Tau Empire for so long, and still control the empire. So now in this coalition with all of these various voices of Xeno races representing their interests, we're going to need a governing body that has the ultimate decision-making, authority. And that's why I'm asking this council, is it just a legislative arm, or is it also the executive arm of the state? Who is the face of the Tauva coalition? In the council, is there a high council member? Or does everybody have a say, everybody has a vote, and the majority wins the day? And will the other council members accept that?
Having the same level of control by indoctrination and propaganda is far more sinister and grimdark, in my opinion.
But the Tau Empire does that too, don't they? Yes, the Ethereals have their, pheromones that manipulate people who are close to them. But I'm sure there's also the propaganda that's been spread by the Tau Empire to justify their greater good and the ideals that they aspire for the greater good. So yeah, I think the Tau Empire does both. It has the Ethereals with their pheromones, and it also has the state pushing this propaganda narrative that supports their activities within the empire or beyond it.
Than stupid pheromones. It's just a very lazy and cheap answer to complex question. Other people, and especially other Xenos, have influence and their own personal will. Each of them has their own equivalent of High Council led by their own Supreme, and they have the will of their own, taking care of internal and external matters, using their influence in politics. Coalition is military, economical, political, and ideological alliance of numerous species, all of them united in the name of 4 things: survival, security, prosperity, and expansion.
Yeah, good luck with that last one. Good luck with that last one.
Some of you might think that those changes make Coalition more of a good guys than the Tau Empire.
No. I still need more detail about their society, this coalition, these different empires that are represented, what's going on in their home turf, what's going on in the umbrella organization of the coalition, what's going on in there. I need the nuts and bolts. I need to chew, I can't just look at this meat and say that it looks good without tasting it. I need to taste it. Because like I said before, we know the Imperium of Man. It's in our face. There's nothing for them to hide. We know that they're corrupt. We know that they're stagnant. We know that they're incompetent. We know that, the suffering and the toiling of so many people is happening throughout the galaxy. We understand that. We can see that. But then in terms of this coalition, I haven't gotten enough information. Yes, we can see the skeletal structure of the government and how it is, ran, under this coalition. But there seems to be some parts that are missing. Because conflict resolution is very important in terms of, a federation. And like Heretical Hatter has just stated here, that people are here pushing their interests. They are trying to influence each other politically. And politics is not simply just talking with words. There's money involved. There is violence, intimidation involved. So there's still a lot more that has not been really fleshed out here.
You are mistaken. I want Coalition to have more subtle version of evil. This utilitarian society that focuses on the greater good of all doesn't accept greater good of an individual. Re-education camps are still a thing. Training to be obedient and follow rules is still a thing. Government arranging who you will have children with, echoing the dark images of Lebensborn, is still a thing. Only merit can give you path to greatness, but if your talents aren't needed, you won't achieve anything. Liberty is limited. It's an illusion. You can practice your faith as long as it is accepted by the greater coalition. Those who don't comply are sent to re-education camps or simply disappear, taken into the dark by the coalition's secret police.
So far, what I'm hearing is interesting. It's good that he's fleshing it out a bit more. But what I was also going to say is that the Gene Stealer cult are really going to have a fun day in this empire. The way they're so open, the way they're so welcoming of all xeno races, I'm telling you, the Gene Stealer cult is going to have a field day with this empire. They're going to enjoy themselves in this empire. They're going to grow in ways never thought possible. Because of the openness, because of the society, the way it's ran, they're really going to enjoy it here. They might even infiltrate the higher echelons of this council. And that will be a serious problem.
One that is more similar to moral police rather than that of Gestapo or KGB. Many will commit suicide with smile on their faces to show their devotion to the greater good.
Man.
Indoctrination so deep that they are ready to take their own life or forsaken that of their loved ones. Dystopia doesn't need to proclaim to be one from the rooftops.
But I like it when it does, like the Imperium of Man. I like it when it does. I don't like two-faced situations or two-faced governments or two-faced people. No. Be blunt. Be open. I like it.
And worst of all, dystopia can believe itself to be utopia. This is the grim darkness of a coalition. The darkness hidden behind the mask of light. Subtlety that doesn't need mind-controlling pheromones. Just well put together propaganda, education and indoctrination from the moment of birth.
Yeah, but it kind of also sounds like the Imperium of Man. It's kind of the same way, They've also been indoctrinated. There's also a meritocracy of some sort that, of course, is infiltrated with people who are in high positions who can influence their offspring, or should I say their children, to also ascend into the higher echelons of government or the military or whatever it may be, But essentially, what's happening in the Tau coalition is kind of similar to what's happening in the Imperium of Man. It's just that in the Imperium of Man, it's cranked up to level 11. Where in the Tau coalition is still at level 5, somewhere there, 5 or 6. At least with the ethereals, if they had their pheromones, it would have added a bit of more spice into it, more uniqueness into it. I think maybe that's why this ability of the Ethereals has been pushed, onto how they've been able to control their society for so long, and how people don't question them. Yes, it might sound like it's stupid or it's lazy writing that the Ethereals have these pheromones, but it adds a bit of uniqueness to it, I think. Yeah.
Collision is place of order in the galaxy of chaos. But to keep order, one have a need for control. The last and probably the biggest change is that Tau and Collision at large aren't half as naive as the Tau Empire. And some of you might be confused. After all, both Tau Empire and the Coalition are youngest powers in the Milky Way galaxy. That remains true, but the Coalition isn't young. Looking at the Tau alone, in my rewrite their civilization is almost 6,000 years old by the time they have first proper contact with the Imperium of Man. I know 6,000 years isn't impressive compared to 60 million of Necrons, but when compared to 10,000 years of the Imperium of Man, well, the Tau civilization existed for around half the period that Imperium did. Coalition itself as a faction is far younger, being established in 473 M38. So Coalition is around 3,000 years old compared to the Imperium. So that seems a bit laughable, but here is a thing. Tau aren't the only members of the Coalition. There are members of the Coalition that are far older than the Tau. Hell, some of them managed to survive the Great Crusade and escape into the Damocles sector, where they hid and survived until they encountered the Coalition and joined them. The Tau of the Coalition aren't naive, because they have 6,000 years of history behind them. And Coalition isn't naive because combined experience of its members and the fact that they share this experience and knowledge makes them so much more powerful and so much more dangerous. That goes for the ignorance of the warp as well, something that Games Workshop didn't think about at all. Canonical Tau Empire has Xenopsychers, more than a few.
Abominations.
I mentioned Nikasar before, psychic polar bears that created FTL drive that allows ships to skip the border between the real space and the warp, not mentioning the fact that Nikasar are navigators of the void. And they are one example of many species that either are psychic or have psychers in their ranks. So yeah.
I'm surprised that the Chaos Gods haven't taken notice of them. Or maybe their souls are not really shining very brightly in the warp. Are not reflected brightly in the warp like how humans are. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's quite surprising that they are not being possessed by demons. That the Chaos Gods are not taking interests in, making them suffer and toil for their own pleasure and, growth of their power as the Chaos Gods. Yeah.
Yeah. The Tau themselves don't have psychers and don't fully understand the warp. But they know it exists because their allies do. Games Workshop and Black Library ignored this fact. I will not. The Damocles Gulf Crusade won't be the first time Coalition met Psychers. Hell, Coalition has combat Psychers in their ranks. In terms of dangers of the warp, many things are kept secret, similar to the Imperium, but in general, people who should know what is going on know what is going on. So as you can see, changes in the themes of the Tauva Coalition are Subtle in some places and deep in others. In some ways, Tauva coalition makes good on promises of a Tau empire. Coalition is a commonwealth of numerous species. It is a power in the galaxy. Some might think that I went too far in the direction of Covenant from Halo, and maybe you are correct, but I really try to not make it a copy.
I don't really see it as the Covenant from Halo, because the Covenant, you know, they were, well, it was mainly designed or created for the Great Journey, you know, to find the holy relics, the holy rings of the precursors. And that's the reason why they united with other races and, you know, created this large congregation of people who believe in these gods and the rings, or should I say, yeah, the Halo rings, the Halo array. And it's just not the same like with the Tauva coalition. I would say the Tauva coalition is far more akin to the Star Trek Federation or to the Systems Commonwealth in Andromeda Ascendant. I don't know if you guys have watched that TV show before, but yeah, they kind of remind me of Star Trek, the Federation, as well as the Systems Commonwealth in Andromeda Ascendant. Yeah.
Coalition is united by ideology, not faith. Ethereals have a lot of power, but they aren't prophets. Coalition has advanced technology, but it isn't based on some ancient tech they are obsessed with, etc., etc. Personally, I am more focused on the idea that the Tau and the Coalition figured out the meta strategy how to fight against the grim darkness of the Warhammer 40k galaxy. And the answer is friendship. Ironically, having reliant friends and allies is the way to face the darkness of the Milky Way galaxy. Hate it if you want, but you know it just as well as me. But there are few horrors we can't face with friends on our side.
If only the Emperor of Mankind could have listened to that from you. What's his name again? Heretical Hatter. Yeah. If only the Emperor of Mankind could listen to you when you said that. Maybe things would have been different for the Imperium of Man. Maybe we wouldn't have wiped out, you know, millions upon millions of other Xeno races.
You
Maybe.
yourself have friends, I'm sure you do, and I know that tasks that seem impossible to deal with suddenly become nuisances if you brought your friends along to help. The ties of friendship are something incredibly powerful. There is a reason why armies around the world try to create bonds of brotherhood among the soldiers. Coalition uses the same logic, but on far greater scale, making them far greater threat than many would expect. Even the greatest of beasts will fall if it's cut enough times. Humans of ancient times could bring down mammoths, animals they had no hope of killing in one-on-one fight. No single human of that time could defeat something like mammoth alone. But they weren't working alone. They had friends. They hunted
who were also human. You know, humans helping humans. It's what we know best. Yes, we don't like other Xeno races, but we band together to defeat a common foe. So, yeah. The Tauva coalition might seem good in terms of them banding together, you know, different races, but humanity has been doing this for a very long time already. It's just that we do it with other human beings. And that is still just as good. That is still just as good. Yes, it might seem as if we're standing alone and it's humanity first and it's humanity only. And yes, that's what it is. But it has worked. teamwork amongst our own race, our own species. Yeah.
The giants. They killed them, fed on their corpses, and created tents out of their furs and bones. Who knows? Maybe Coalition will unite many to kill the mammoth that is the Imperium.
You can try. You can try. You won't be the first. You certainly won't be the last. You can try.
Maybe it will feed on its worlds and build something new out of the bones and the shell of this once mighty empire. Or maybe this old mammoth will crush those young hunters and live another day, spiting the universe with every step.
I think also we should not see the Imperium of Man as an elephant or a mammoth. You know, we're not a herbivore. We are not a herbivore. You know, we are not an animal that's just eating grass. We drink blood. We drink blood. You know, we are... I can't even say like a dragon, but, you know, we are like a leviathan. We are a snake that eats itself. And anyone that tries to interfere with, you know, us eating ourselves, we will eat you. We will drink your blood. We will chew on your bones and then spit them out, either through the mouth or through other orifices. But yeah, we will devour you.
Daring it to try again. We don't know. That's the beauty of the storytelling of a grim dark universe of Warhammer 40k. Nothing is set in stone.
That's true. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is certain. We don't know the future, but I have hope. I have faith. And faith is the most powerful, you know, force of energy in this galaxy. It's not logic. It's not reason. We've tried those paths before, you know. The only reason why the Emperor is still on his throne, or why the Astronomicon is shining so brightly in the warp, or why we haven't been totally consumed by chaos, is because we have faith in the God Emperor of mankind. That's the only reason why we are still here. So, yes, the future is uncertain, but humanity have faith, and that will continue to sustain them into the far future, long after the greater good has been vanquished, either by their own internal politics of the coalition or by a grand crusade created by the Imperium of Man to finally crush this little bug that's irritating them. Yeah, that's what I think.
In this universe, even gods can die. With all of that out of the way, let's move towards visual design. So, a bit controversial take. I absolutely love Tau design. There, I said it. I love how they look.
I mean, it's okay. I really don't see anything bad about it either. You know, they're an alien race. I don't expect them to be dressed like human beings. I don't expect them to have human designed vessels. They will build technology under the influence of their homeworlds. You know, they will build their ships under the influence of how their physiology is made up like, you know. I don't expect them to have anything relatable to us as human beings. Yeah. I expect them to be as alien as their technology, and their technology to be as alien as them.
On one hand, they look like a standard sci-fi faction, but in the universe where there is no other faction that looks like standard sci-fi, It's a bit unique. I like how smooth and blocky they are at the same time. In my opinion, they don't need to be redesigned. Just updated a little bit. In similar way how Space Marines and Terminators were updated for the new edition. They are basically the same, just better. Do the same for the Tau. Give them more options in terms of armors, helmets and even weapons. Just add a little bit more variety. And you know what? There's no real need for creating new designs, because fans already did it. Look at them! All fan creations, all keeping with Tau theme, and yet clearly different from what we know. So in general, I don't want to change their visual design. I think, unlike many, that it's fine. It just needs a slight update here and there and adding a bit of diversity to make it more interesting.
These artist impressions are very nice, but it also concerns me that there are so many human beings, so many people on Earth, so many people who also follow Warhammer 40k, but they are not part of the Imperium of Man. They are heretics. They are Xeno worshippers. They love the Tau. They're making, models based on Tau architecture and innovation and technology. This is heresy of the highest order. They need to go. They need to go. They're a threat.
And that is one major change in visual design. It's adding a clear presence of non-Tau, and more specifically, their weapons and technology. Here are two examples of art I commissioned: Emekian and Tanin Void ships. Both are very different from what Tau are using, but they are using their technology. The same goes for units on the ground. More members of a coalition must be seen, all that have design clearly inspired by the Tau themselves, yet also clearly distinctive. Similar, yet different. All sharing the theme, yet not the exact look. This is what canonical Tau Empire needed, to show all the species and all of different technology and way it was adopted or implemented into existing systems among different species. I have, in fact, video planned where I will show all named species of the coalition I came up with, using, for the most part,
what was that alien? Oh my gosh.
Art of magnificent Marquismo, who decided to help me with the project. You can
kill it. Oh my gosh, kill it.
See some of his art now, and by the Golden Throne, I love all of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Kill them. Kill it all. Burn it all.
I almost forgot. Coalition has over 50 member species.
Wow, that's a lot. That is a lot. I guess the Great Crusade didn't really wipe out as much as we thought. I mean, that's a lot of Xeno races still alive. I think we need a second Great Crusade. I think we need a second Great Crusade. I think we need Lionel Johnson to lead this new second Great Crusade on the Tau Empire. We need to cleanse that place. 50, that's too many. You guys gotta dwindle. Gotta dwindle down. No ways.
Half of them are named and have art, so yeah, the video about all species of the coalition will be long as well. But that's not the subject of this video. Let's move to the next point. Okay, so history. I won't give you details here because history of the coalition is like 90% of the reimagined series. Me telling the expansive and deep history of the coalition. So I will give you only few important parts, and if you are interested, you can watch what I came up with. Let's start with the location. It is important. Coalition is located in Damocles sector, galactic north to the realm of Ultramar. Damocles sector was named that for a reason, because trying pass through it, it's like passing under the sword of Damocles. In short, it's not ideal. It's full of anomalies, nebulas, and constant warp storms that keep on changing their shape. Colonization of the Imperium is limited at best and located within few stable gulfs in the chaotic region of Damocles sector.
It's like the Maelstrom or the Eye of Terror. Yeah, you could say that, yeah.
You will notice that I changed some names, going more with naval naming system. So Gulf are regions that ships can enter and where many ports can be found. Damocles sector is a region that is so full of anomalies that block any type of travel that it is basically avoided. One of the regions that wasn't really secured even during the Great Crusade, despite how close to Ultramar it was. We are talking about such density of anomalies that it was unheard of for any vessel of the Imperium to pass through the Damocles sector. All of them went around it. Going through it was a suicide even for the best of navigators. This region of space remained mostly unexplored and uncolonized because of the presence of so many anomalies for millennia, until the Reign of Blood, when around 36th millennium a massive warp storm appeared engulfing entire sector. The warp storm had a strange form. Almost all warp storms we see are vortex of chaos, like an Eye of Terror or Maelstrom, or they take form of a tear in reality. This is not a warp storm of Damocles sector. This warp storm took a form of a barrier, surrounding the entire sector in bizarre circle, and remained surprisingly stable warp storm for next few thousand years. Damocles sector was quite literally put into a bubble that very few would dare to breach. But there is something more important about this warp storm. Its effect on the anomalies within the sector. This warp storm, known as the Crystal Barrier, sucked most anomalies into itself, ensuring that once chaotic and anomalous region of Damocles sector became suddenly mostly peaceful. Imperium, of course, had no idea. What they saw was a sector-size warp storm. They also didn't know about anomaly in the heart of a sector, known as the Broken Heart, formed in the very center of a storm. With most of the anomalies gone, species that remained hidden had now a chance to expand and grow in power. Now, a little warning, I made an entire series of this, so spoilers ahead if you want to see the reimagined series. I will be skipping the details so you won't get too spoiled.
It's okay, I'm gonna stay here.
Tau were on the level of very early history, like first Mesopotamian cities, when the warp storm barriers started forming. An age of Montau, when they were slaughtering each other en masse. Age that ended when Etherealists showed up and started their work to unite all tribes, right around the time when the barrier solidified. A coincidence, I'm sure of it. They united, secured their home system, and started colonization of new planets, even sent first ships into new star systems. This was the first sphere of expansion, age when the Tau didn't have FTL engines. This age came to an end.
What is EOU? Huh.
When they made contact with Nikasar, a xenospecies that was leading an alliance of few species against insectoid Moralians. They offered the Tau skip drive, and in exchange, Tau were to join the alliance against the Moralians. That's how second sphere of expansion began. Yes, one of the greatest changes to lore is simple. There were multiple expansions before the Tau met the Imperium, which makes sense. We are talking about thousands of years of history, and in canonical 40k, all of that is just first sphere of expansion, and they meet the Imperium. And now we are suddenly on the fifth sphere of expansion in relatively short period of time between first contact with the Imperium and current 40k timeline, which I see as total human Imperium centrist point of view, and declare as stupid. Additionally, Tau have their own calendar, because why would they use human calendar?
Because they live in a human galaxy. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you're right. Why would they use the Imperium of Man's calendar? You know, they should be using their own as the coalition.
Year is shorter than Earth year, around 300 days. So you will notice that years pass a bit faster in their calendar compared to ours.
Wait a minute. Why are we using the Tau homeworld as a time reference and not the first, the first empire or the first species that created this coalition? The first two races that created the coalition, because it was not the Tau who created it. It was, 2 other races or 4 other races that created it. So why aren't we going along their time? And the Tau should be following suit, because it's their coalition that they created. Why are we using the Tau's timeline as a point of reference? I mean, we don't want to use the humans. We don't want to use the Imperium of Man. So it's only fair that we use the founding members of the coalition, their timeline, not the Tau. The Tau joined into the coalition. They are not the founding members. They are not, the most powerful in this council. Or am I wrong about that?
Also, EOU stands for Era of Unity.
Okay. Unity.
Counted from the year Ethereals showed up to unite the entire species. Alright? Moving on. During the second sphere of expansion, Tau joined the alliance against Moralians and scored a victory. But during the war, they managed to take over the alliance, and at the end of the war, now...
Really? Okay. And this is not the Tau Empire? Alright.
Now named First Coalition War, they transformed the alliance into the coalition. Yes, the initial alliance of Xenos wasn't even Tau idea. It was Nikasar idea, and they just took it over. With that, you get the general understanding of coalition history.
Now I understand why we're using the Tau time reference and not the alliance of those first races that united and banded together against a common enemy. We're not using their time reference, we're using the Tau because they're the ones who created the coalition from the alliance. Okay, alright.
Tau are the leaders of it and fight for control, but the more they expand...
That's complicated. they are the leaders of the coalition, yet they fight for control over it. Like, that's very confusing. But okay.
The more species join, more species put their own influence into the system. If there is a big war, they call it coalition war, and they count it classically first, second, third coalition war, and so on and so on. To not bore you, on screen you can see the dates and number of expansions, plus how in general the coalition expanded
Age of security.
through the years. But I think it's worth to mention few events for you to get to know coalition better. Just a few. If you want to know details, you're gonna watch the Reimagined series. Coalition had a Cold War with a faction known as Ostensea Council. But thanks to Orc War that broke through the Warp Storm barrier and forced both factions to fight side by side, Coalition managed to take over economically and politically the Ostensea Council, fusing entire state into the coalition.
Yeah, I'm sure they must have done some backhanded tactics, some assassinations here and there, some buying off of some officials here and there to finally have this being approved, where, you know, that opposite coalition of xenoraces finally faltered and decided to capitulate to this coalition of Tauva. That's what I think.
The fifth coalition war was the most brutal war coalition endured before meeting the Imperium. They fought against the Orcs. Again, two wars at the same time, in fact. One coming from Galactic North and one from the South. They were very close to losing everything. We are talking about Orc forces being on the border of the first sphere of expansion, a stone throw from the Tau capital itself.
Welcome to the Milky Way galaxy. This is your official welcoming. You know, not you exploring the galaxy, you know, finding new worlds, experiencing new cultures. No, this is a proper introduction. The Orcs coming in, screaming "Wah!" and looking for a good scrap. Welcome.
One of the Orc war bosses they faced was Krampenheimer, leading his war from a space hulk named Krampageddon.
Krampageddon. Oh, wow.
Yes, I know, super original name. But hey, I had fun with 5th Coalition War. War that was so brutal that Coalition announced First Age of Security. Yeah, they were so wounded after that war that they stopped their expansion to fortify their borders and really prepare for the next move. Next example, in 7th Coalition War, they fought against the Nagi, mind-controlling psyker worm Xenos that were followers of Chaos God Zinj. Yes, Coalition fought against forces of Chaos.
And they survived. Quite impressive.
More than once. Nagi weren't the first, nor the last. Next, during Second Age of Security, Coalition built fully artificial Septworld, a size of a small moon, and they are making plans to make it FTL capable.
What? That's mighty impressive. That is mighty impressive. Now they are aspiring to the levels of the Necron, I would say. I don't remember if the golden age of technology of the human empire, you know, created, you know, moon-sized stations. I don't know. Maybe they did and they got lost in space. I don't know. But yeah, this is like the level of Necron tier type of technology. Yeah, amazing. They're gonna create their own Death Stars now.
It was an achievement of entire age, something that was a dream centuries before, brought to reality in this form. It's not a Death Star and it's not a Phalanx, alright? But it is a great city and manufacturing center that might get ability to move soon enough.
Okay, alright. Okay, it's cool, it's cool.
By the time Coalition established contact with Imperium of Man, they were preparing for 6th sphere of expansion, which gives proper feeling that Coalition has some experience already. This isn't their first rodeo, although because 40k is 40k and symbolism is a thing, Damocles' Gulf Crusade will be known as 13th Coalition War. Yes, my darlings! Imperium experienced its 13th Black Crusade. Why not play the good old irony of Warhammer 40k and make Imperial Crusade a 13th Great Conflict for some other faction?
Okay, wow, alright.
But 13th Coalition War won't be as devastating for Coalition as 13th Black Crusade was for the Imperium. And reason for it is simple. Coalition is far, far stronger than the Tau Empire. Damocles sector itself is very densely colonized for numerous reasons. First is the nature of Coalition FTL, the escape drive, which isn't reliant on warp currents. And those are important for Imperial trade and establishing stable warp lanes throughout the galaxy. There is a reason why some worlds thrive and some don't in the Imperium. And warp currents are very important to it. Not all Imperial vessels have navigators. Great portion of transport and merchant ships are making so-called calculated jumps using warp currents to get where they need to go. Skip drive, while far slower than warp drive, isn't reliant on warp currents. Add to that the fact that Tau are really good in terraforming, and that with how many different species there are, worlds that would be considered inhabitable by the Tau or humans would be perfect colony material for some other Xenos.
Those planets need to be exterminated.
And you suddenly get great density of colonized worlds in Damocles sector. How great? Well, by the time of Damocles' Gulf Crusade, Coalition was approaching such size that they would be twice as big as famous realm of Ultramar and its 500 worlds.
Wow. That small little corner of space has such a concentration of population of populated planets. Yeah, okay.
Now, before you start screaming power fantasy, hear me out. Canonical Tau Empire had between 100, maybe 300 worlds, and those are optimistic projections. That is nothing compared to official 1 million worlds of the Imperium. As far as we know, before Cadia fell and Galaxy was split in half, Imperium could possess 1.5 million worlds, if not millions. We have no idea.
Yeah, we just have no idea. The what do they call them again? The Adeptus Ministorum hasn't really been good at accounting how many planets are governed by the Imperium of Man, mainly because of the distances and the time period of communication. Yes, even with the astropaths, it's still not really reliable 100%. So we don't really have a true account of how many planets are governed by the Imperium of Man throughout the galaxy. But their influence is vast, it's deep within this galaxy, and yeah, that's all we've got really. The estimation of 1 million worlds, it might be more than that, it might be 2 million. Maybe 3 million. We just don't know.
1 million worlds line is disputed by more than few books. As far as we know, it might be something said to the masses of the Imperium that can't comprehend bigger numbers. So with that in mind, 100 or 1000 worlds isn't that much of a difference.
Yeah, it's kind of a drop in the ocean.
Imperium is still beyond massive. Coalition, just like Tau Empire, is minuscule in comparison. But what those almost 1000 worlds makes the Coalition that the Tau Empire isn't. Tauva Coalition is now a regional power. It means that while it can't challenge the Imperium, it can challenge the neighboring sectors. And remember, Coalition is surrounded on all sides. The realm of Ultramar is one of multiple sectors they have to deal with. Imperium still outnumbers them in terms of worlds, counting planets in neighboring sectors alone. The fact that Coalition has close to 1000 worlds has also a bit different connotations compared to the Imperium. Coalition doesn't possess Forge worlds or Hive worlds. Oh sure, they have worlds, even special classification of worlds called mandates, that aren't self-sustaining and need support from outposts and other worlds to remain stable. But the biggest mandate is nothing close to a Forge world or a Hive world. Despite the number of planets Coalition possess, their population isn't greater than neighboring sectors. Even with 1000 worlds, they are still outnumbered. But they can now be seen as a real threat, and not something Imperium can deal with a snap of their fingers. Coalition might not have Forge worlds and Hive worlds, but they lack feudal or feral worlds as well. The Coalition is overall far more efficient than the Imperium. Their worlds are more balanced. There is no star system in the Coalition that isn't self-sufficient. Their FTL might be slower, but it is consistent. Resources arrive on time, and production never slows down. Additionally, thanks to numerous Xeno species in the ranks, Coalition has ability to answer most threats. Most people don't know this, but canonical Tau Empire has a Xeno species known as Vorg. Vorg are Titan-sized Xenos.
Titan-sized Xenos. And they've left their homeworld. Wow.
We don't see them in the lore at all. Coalition has Vorg as well. We will see them. Oh, we will see them, and I assure you that Imperial Knights and Titans won't enjoy this meeting.
I can assure you, their homeworld will be exterminated from orbit. You know, any planet with these Titans, you gotta burn the entire planet. Virus bomb it.
Coalition isn't a naive child. They fought in over a dozen great wars, exterminated more than few species, and committed genocides and planetary exterminations on mass scale. We are talking about extermination of entire subsector.
Welcome to the club, Tauva Coalition. Welcome.
To the point that if Tyranids arrived there, they would have nothing to eat. They would starve there. Coalition has a lot of experience, a lot of allies, and a lot of weapons. Imperium is a mighty and more than worthy foe, but Damocles' Gulf Crusade won't be a one-sided slaughter. It will be a struggle for both sides.
I don't think so. Look, in terms of the other engagements between the Imperium of Man and the Tau Empire, and the reason why the Tau Empire have survived through the skin of their teeth is because the Imperium of Man have got far larger issues to deal with. The Tau are insignificant for the moment. The Tyranids are a far more dangerous threat to the galactic stability of the Imperium of Man than the Tau could ever be. So, if the Imperium of Man were to really focus, like if this was a direct directive from the High Lords of Terror, or from Roboute Guilliman, or from Lionel Johnson, if there was a direct directive from any of these powerful institutions to say, we need to start creating an army, an armada, that's going to invade the Damocles sector and finally put an end to the Tau, they could do it. They have the numbers. They have the ships. They would saturate that entire sector with all of their military might and obliterate it. No matter how advanced your technology is, it's not going to save you from the wrath of humanity. If we are focused, you would be destroyed. That's what I think. That's what I think. I think the Tau would not last, whether it's the coalition or the Tau Empire. If humanity, were really serious about crushing this bug, they would do it. But because we are distracted by so many other situations, the Tau are given this chance to survive, this reprieve. But the moment they start showing themselves to be an upstarter that is desiring our throne, our mantle as the leadership of this galaxy, I can tell you, humanity or the Imperium of Man will take notice, and they will deal with you decisively. Overwhelming force. That's what I think. Guys, I am a human first supporter, okay? Like, I'm not going to joke about this. I'm not going to, give a chance to a xeno race. No. Humanity first. Humanity first, no matter the cost. I don't like the Emperor. I don't like what he has done. But I'm here to defend humanity. And yes, we are going through tough times, dark times. But don't underestimate us. Don't. Too many have tried that before and they have failed very spectacularly. So, yeah, be careful.
A brutal war that ended quickly because of Tyranid invasion, but one that both sides wanted to come to an end: Imperium and the Coalition. At least this is what I want to show you all in my rewrite of Damocles' Gulf Crusade. I am far from ready, but I want to make it proper war, show proper love and respect to both Imperium and the Coalition. And most importantly, I want to show that Coalition and the Imperium are even match in this region. The Tauva Coalition would be considered a regional power, not a nuisance like the Tau Empire, but an actual threat, but one too problematic to easily deal with. This gives Coalition a new look. It's not a minor faction that was made into major one to sell models.
Here's another issue. In terms of the capacity for war, the capacity to kill, to crush your enemies into dust. The Imperium of Man have been going through this for the past 10,000 years. They've been in continuous war. There's never a moment in their existence where they haven't been at war. At the very birth of the Imperium of Man, they've been at war. In its stagnation, we are still at war. So war weariness is almost non-existent with the Imperium of Man. But we don't know about the Tauva Coalition. We don't know about the Tau Empire. How much are they willing to sacrifice? How far are they willing to go? How long are they prepared to fight? Because I can tell you, with the Imperium of Man, they will be here for generations. Generations upon generations upon generations, continuously fighting against the Tau coalition or the Tau empire. They will not rest. They will not give you any sort of respite. It will just be continuous fleets after fleets coming in, just gnawing away at your empire bit by bit until they reach the core worlds of the coalition. And then we'll see how long you'll last.
It's a coalition of numerous minor factions, minor Xenos, Abhumans and mutants, that united under the banner of greater good to stand against the darkness of the galaxy.
Like I said, the Gene Stealer cult are going to have a very fun time in this coalition. Very fun time.
Now, Tabletop Coalition would need to be completely remade. And I mean from almost ground up. Because Coalition Army will be focusing on diversity of units, not bloody mechs. This allows Coalition Army to be played in a very diverse way, because with different members of the Coalition, you can choose your playstyle. In fact, Coalition Army would have the most diverse number of options how one wishes to play. You can have Tau-focused mecha gun army, but that's just one of the choices. You want a swarm army? You go with your Moralian's Death Swarm. Those insects gonna rush your enemies and show them what biotech and standard tech combined into one can do to people. Tyranids will be confused facing them, I can assure you. You want normal melee units? Well, Tarelians got their homeworld virus bombed by the Imperium. I am sure they will be happy to show those guardsmen that dwarves aren't only people who hold grudges. You need some heavy-hitting melee units? Ranhorn are here to work as equivalent of Ogryns in melee combat. Orcs will learn to keep clear out of space right away. Want to deal with knights? Domati are giant Chinese dragon psychers, and Vorg are basically
More psychers that are not sanctioned by the Imperium of Man? Yay! They all need to go.
kaiju, so you have options there. Rip those Chaos Knights to pieces, their dark gods won't keep them safe. Do you want heavy-hitting, fast-moving attackers? Rehichi are predators from a world with megafauna and flora that was transformed into Fallout New Vegas. They can show those Astartes that there is more than one true predator in this galaxy. Want to play fast attack? Well, Vespid are always a good choice, but now Tannin can come in to support them. Eldar won't be able to outrun you this time. Light skirmish? Well, Krut were always cool, but now you can add Naschu, the space rodents, as support. Catch Drukari with their pants down with open beak and sharp claw. You want Psychers on the field? Nikasar and few other species can give you all the magic you need on the field. Thousand Sons will have to work hard to score a proper victory.
Xeno sorcery.
You playing Apocalypse scale game? Mix them all together and show everyone the true power of friendship. And plasma rifles. Coalition Army would be great for new players, allowing them to have fun with very diverse range of models, weapons and ways to play. Coalition Army would allow players to choose their doctrine and specialize in one thing or don't specialize at all. It could be seen similar to Space Marine armies, as an army with many diverse playstyles, but with more diversity in terms of shape of the models. So a bit more challenging, but also a lot more fun to paint. But remaking entire army might be too much, so there is a second solution. If Games Workshop really wants to keep the Tau Empire separate, just add a new army called Coalition Forces or something, which would work similar to Gene Stealer army. You can play Genestealers and Tyranids together, just like you can take Imperial Guard and add Titan to the mix. If you want to keep armies separate, you get Mecha Gun Army of the Tau and Coalition Forces Army full of Xenos that have diverse range of weapons and tactics. And if you want, you can mix them together. I would prefer Coalition Army as a singular thing, but I am open other options. So, that's basically it. My vision how to fix Tau. How to make them better faction, more interesting faction, in lore and tabletop both. I know that this is a long video, but it's really bloody hard to compress 22-hour series and many other ideas into a short video. I apologize.
Thank you for your hard work, Heretical Hatter. Thank you. It's been really entertaining, really. I'm a human first person, so hearing all of this about the Tau, how they would surpass us, it's raising my blood pressure. Really, I feel a bit shaken here. Hearing everything that you had to say, how you have gone into the details about the coalition and how they would become a threat to the Imperium of Man. I am a bit worried and scared, but I have faith.
Apologize if I was mumbling too much, but I hope I managed to make my point clear and show all of you how my reimagined vision of Tau Empire, the Tauva Coalition, would make into far more interesting addition to Warhammer 40k universe, while keeping the core concepts of original intact. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, the whole shtick. You know what to do. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I will do my best to answer all of them. Next thing I will be preparing will be a video of all named species of the coalition. But it will take some time. I might make it a separate playlist giving every species an individual video. A shorter one. After that, I will continue preparations for my Damocles Crusade rewrite. So wait for this as well. I will try to make it more narrative driven, with characters and drama and narrative that will show the epic scale of 40k. Anyway, I believe this is all for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed. Now, my dear listeners, remember, wherever you are, whatever you do, try to enjoy yourself while you can. I wish you most heretical day. Ta-ta!
Heretical what? How dare you? I'm a loyal Imperial servant. There is no heresy in my bones. Huh? Okay, guys, that is it with how to make them better. Tau Empire Warhammer 40,000, made on the Heretical Hatter YouTube channel, requested by Mitch7235. Wow, yeah, the Tauva coalition really is a threat. I'm worried, if the Tau Empire became the Tau coalition, the Tauva coalition, I would have really been worried, because definitely they are different, but also pretty much the same, with the Tau Empire. Yes, the leadership structure is not the same, it's totally different. Their societal organization and cooperation is different, to the Tau Empire. kind of like the Star Trek Federation, where all the different races are incorporating their technologies, making it better, making it far more advanced, which then translates in the coalition having a far better chance at survival against the different factions in the galaxy, just like how the Federation in Star Trek operates. So yeah, that's how I see it as well there with the coalition. In terms of the 50 alien species that exist in the Damocles sector, that is a concern. And that's amazing. The fact that so many alien races are living in that small little corner in the galaxy. Really, the Imperium of Man would have to take notice to wipe out that sector as soon as possible. There's just too many alien races in one spot, and really, many of those alien races are Titan-sized. Some of them are psychers, which is very dangerous. They gotta go. They just have to go as soon as possible. So yeah, the Imperium of Man would really have to take notice of this coalition, either being led by Lionel Johnson or Robuta Gilliman or any other official within the Imperium of Man. They have to take notice. They have to gather up an army to the likes of which we've never seen since the Great Crusade, to finally put an end to this nuisance called the Tauva Coalition or the Tau Empire. They gotta go. They have to go. But yes, definitely this rewrite is interesting in terms of their society, in terms of the ethereals, how they are in this new coalition, how their power is not really absolute. It's there, their influence is there, but it's not really absolute. How the different races have their own interests and their own factions, and they have their own internal fighting politically. For now, it's just politically for now. We don't know how will that evolve in the future, whether there's going to be a split within the coalition because of political situations that have not been resolved, which then translates into conflict resolutions that have not been implemented within this coalition, which then cascades into a civil war between the member nations of this coalition. It's possible, because there is no absolute body of authority in this coalition. There's only the High Council or High Coalition Council, and that's not enough because there's too many voices, leading this coalition, and there is no singular body. Or maybe it's the Supreme. Yeah, I think maybe it's the Supreme. Whoever the Supreme is, maybe that person has the ultimate authority. I'm not entirely sure. I'll just have to, watch more from the Heretical Hatter on the Tau, or remaking the Tau Empire, or I'll have to just listen more carefully to the video again for a second time. But yes, I see a potential problem there with this coalition, that they might lead to their own self-destruction due to their own interests, and not having an overarching interest of the state of the coalition. That the interest of the coalition should supersede the interests of individual species of the coalition. Yeah. And the power of friendship, yes, it cannot be underestimated. Definitely, it's very, very important. Whether it's just humans working together, or it's the xeno races that are working together, or it's the different sects of Eldar, groupings that are working together, or the orcs when they join forces under one war boss working together. Really, it is a very powerful, type of energy that cannot be underestimated. The power of friendship has saved many universes throughout our entertainment industry. When I think about the anime that I watch, maybe Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, or many of these other franchises, the power of friendship has always been the power that has destroyed a common foe. So I can see that also happening with the coalition, where the power of friendship is giving them that little boost in terms of fighting against the darkness of the Warhammer 40k galaxy. Yeah. And also about the psychers within this coalition. I'm wondering, haven't they been influenced by chaos? Haven't they been influenced by demons or by the chaos gods? How strong or how powerful are they compared to human psychers or to elder psychers? And do their souls also reflect or shine brightly in the warp like how humans or elder do? I'm just wondering about that. And yeah, really, this was interesting. Very, very interesting to see a different take to the Tau, which is more menacing, more threatening to the Imperium of Man, which I don't like, because I've said before that, I am humanity first. Yes, the Imperium of Man might not be the ideal empire for humanity, but it's all we have, and we gotta work with it. And I don't think we're gonna die out as the Imperium of Man. We're going to continue, and really, the Tau coalition or the Tau empire is a threat that I hope, that I hope that can be dealt with by the Imperium of Man before they become really proud of themselves, really arrogant, to think that they can take us on and remove us from the throne of the galaxy and become the new, power base within the galaxy. No. Over our dead bodies. Over our dead bodies, you will become the kings and queens of this galaxy. Over our dead bodies, you will have to fight us. You'll have to drink blood like how we do. You'll have to become more like us to defeat us. To defeat humanity. Yeah, your greater good is not going to help you in defeating the rest of the human race or the Imperium of Man. No ways. No ways. You can challenge us, but you'll never win against us. You are not the first, and you certainly won't be the last. Yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you again to Heretical Hatter for this video. It's been really entertaining and informative. Thank you also to Mitch7235 for the requests. I probably will be investing into more videos coming from Heretical Hatter's YouTube channel, but in the future, I don't think it can happen right now because I'm still dealing with a lot of Warhammer 40k content from other YouTubers, but it's on the list. It's definitely on the list. And yeah, hope to see you guys then for those future reactions to Heretical Hatter's content. Yeah, remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as Heretical Hatter's YouTube channel, the links are going to be in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye-bye.